Brock Purdy, this defense, Christian McCaffrey and the 49ers, as they have won 6 straight games. They take on Seattle on Thursday night football in Seattle. And it's a hat and T-shirt game, folks. The Niners can clinch the NFC West with 3 games to play with a win on Thursday against the wounded Seattle Seahawks. We'll see if Kenneth Walker III plays. We'll see what their injury situation looks like a little bit later. Baldy in 10 minutes. By the way, shout out to YouTube, Twitch, the Xfinity mobile text line. Shout out to Twitch, our day ones on Twitch. YouTube's always humming. The Xfinity mobile text line, we appreciate all the texts. And don't forget, you can catch every single Warriors game live on the free Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app along with all the music and news the Bay Area needs. You can follow all your favorite teams, stations, radio shows, podcasts, now by downloading the free Odyssey app. At Chasky, we cannot also forget about the gear. 95.7 The Game, shop.com. We got new gear there. New Morning Rose gear. Shout out to El Sleepy Floyd for hooking us up with the new gear. So, Brock Purdy, you want to talk about the quarterback's situation in which there's been this, I guess, over the last 24 hours, a discussion about Shanahan botching the quarterback situation from day one.
Let's start here. Finding a quarterback is really, really, really hard. I might say it's the most difficult thing in sports to find. I mean,
I think so.
Okay, you think so?
I think so.
All right. Jacksonville has now, they have Trevor Lawrence, and we all would have taken Trevor Lawrence number 1 overall.
No
all right. And people were talking about him as a freshman coming out. Now that's the number 1 pick, right? And we pointed to him. Doug Peterson is no slacky. Doug Peterson knows what he's doing. He won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles.
Yep.
All right. Now you can say he ran his course, whatever. He fought with the owner. That's why he's not with Philadelphia. He's no dummy.
Right.
All right. Now, do I think he's the greatest coach in NFL history? No. He's having a really hard time with Trevor Lawrence. There's been some ups and some downs.
Right.
He's one of the best prospects that we know. All right? Bill Belichick. Would we all agree? Bill Belichick is probably the number 1 or number 2 head coach of all time.
Yeah.
Okay. He gave Drew Bledsoe a huge contract. Huge contract.
He also cut Bernie Kosar in Cleveland.
Yeah. I mean, he has lots of quarterback issues, but that's neither here nor there. He paid Drew Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe goes down. And then they got to go to Tom Brady. He had no idea Tom Brady was going to be Tom Brady.
And he pivoted.
The greatest coach of all time.
And he pivoted just like that.
All right. We've discussed at length about Bill Walsh. And, yeah, he looks like a genius now for finding Joe Montana. But if he knew Joe Montana was going to be Joe Montana, he would have, because he didn't have a first-round pick because they traded it for OJ, he would have taken Joe Montana in the second round. He wouldn't have waited till the third round. Yep. Maybe he would have traded back into the first round. He wouldn't have waited on Steve DeBerg for a couple of years. He wouldn't have tried to trade Joe Montana after winning 1 Super Bowl for John Elway. It is so hard. Now, do I think that they have nailed the quarterback position? No.
No, they're still looking for it.
Exactly.
We still don't know who the franchise quarterback is.
But to say that they've botched it, I would sit here and say, yeah, there's like 20 other teams in the NFL that would say that.
I think that when it comes to botching, it means the way the Jimmy Garoppolo situation played out. But here's what I will say about that.
Okay, I'll listen to that argument.
But
I'll listen to that.
Here it is in December. And the way they played it, you have to give them credit. You could say they lucked into it. I said they lucked into it, the Jimmy situation. He was on a baby field. He had no market, but it played to what they needed to do. And they were able to restructure his deal and bring him back in as a backup and sell him on that. And Jimmy was like, you know what? I've had success here. I still need to go get paid. This is probably the best situation. Like, if you're Jimmy Garoppolo, no way you wanted to go to Carolina. No way you wanted to go to Atlanta. No way you wanted to go to Indianapolis. Those are dumpster fires right now. He restructures his deal. The Niners convinced themselves, like, you know what? We can handle the noise that will come with bringing Jimmy back, knowing that we're starting Trey Lance for the first time in his career as we give him the keys because we drafted him number 3 overall to replace Jimmy. They were able to withstand all the noise from Joe Shasky, Bonte Hill, and everybody else, and able to handle that situation. Now look at him. Jimmy helped his team turn the corner. Jimmy helped his team be in position to win the Western Division championship. So you could say they botched it, or you could say they handled it like masters.
I would just say that trying to evaluate the position is difficult to begin with. Like, that's number 1. And then number 2, how you deal with that position is just as hard. Jimmy Johnson. Do you think Jimmy Johnson was a great coach?
No. He had Steve Voss and Troy Aikman. He didn't know which way to go.
No, but do you think he's a great coach?
I think he was.
I do too. I mean, Bonte, you even said he didn't know which direction to go with. Then he goes to Miami, and he inherits old man Dan Marino.
Right.
And he has to take Dan Marino out of the game.
Right.
He's replacing the legend. And then it flames out in Miami. Now, most people say Jimmy Johnson's one of the great coaches of all time.
His last game, they got beat 55-7 by Jacksonville in the playoffs.
Okay.
Or was it 62-7?
Again, it goes back to the quarterback thing, right? Then I go to Sean Payton, for example. Drew Brees could have chose Miami, or he could have chose New Orleans. He ended up choosing New Orleans, and I didn't win the one Super Bowl. And everybody believes, dude, Sean Payton's pretty damn good. I don't know how great he is. He's pretty damn good. You know what he realized? Oh, Drew Brees is out of here. I need to retire and find the next quarterback. You know where he's going to go? He's going to go right to Herbert because he's sitting there going, you know how hard it is? You could go your whole career
without a quarterback.
Ron Rivera, I don't even know if he's a good coach.
Dude, well, he's had Cam Newton, and he made anything. And Cam Newton was a talented quarterback, but he was able to get the most out of Cam Newton. And now you look at Tyler Heineke and the Commanders. I fear the Commanders in that defense.
Exactly.
And they've got Tyler Heineke at quarterback.
I know. So I guess where I'm going at, like Pete Carroll is another great example. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, where are you going here?
Pete Carroll signed a guy to play starting quarterback, drafted Russell Wilson, and then was like, oh, you know what? We're going to
pivot.
We're pivoting immediately. It doesn't matter what builds up to how you find that guy. Once you find that guy, all that matters is that you embrace it. So I don't even know if Brock Purdy's that guy.
Let me ask you this.
But I give credit to Shanahan.
Was it the right decision to start Trey Lance at the start of the season?
Man, that's a loaded question. I do think it was the right decision to start Trey Lance because you had to see it. You owed it to yourself. You worked with him all offseason. And this revisionist history that he didn't look good at training camp at all,
I think
that's a lie.
It was the right decision.
That's a lie.
Number one, the whole thing that he didn't look good at training camp.
Well, that's not true.
Look at the defense that you're going against.
We now know it's the number one defense.
It's the number one defense in the NFL, and people are compared. A couple of weeks ago, people were saying this may be the greatest defense of all time. I'm not there yet. But that's what people are saying, that this defense is all-time great. So, Shasky, Trey Lance is going against this defense. Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Kinlaw, Armstead in the middle, Jimmy. Like, you're going against an all-time great defense in practice every single day. So, of course, you're not going to go 20-25 for 285, 3 touchdowns. You're going to struggle. In this revisionist history that Trey Lance sucked this year, you play 5 quarters of football. Let's go through the Chicago game. We all admit the fourth quarter, nobody could do anything with the passing game. The rain comes out, and I'm at the game. I was there. You could do nothing in the pass game in the fourth quarter. Now, up until that point, the Niners controlled that football game. Trey Lance didn't fumble on the first possession after he threw a dime to Brandon Ayuk. Debo did. Trey Lance didn't get sacked. He didn't sack himself on the second possession after Hufanga picked up an interception. Matt McGlinchey flat out missed a block against the rookie. Flat out missed a block.
Bad all year.
Trey Lance got hit, you get knocked out of field goal range, but you're still up 10-0 in that football game, controlling it. Trey Lance didn't blow the coverage. Trey Lance also hit Ray McLeod and Juwan Jennings for beautiful passes. We all admitted after week 1, that loss to Chicago was not Trey Lance's fault.
Yeah, but
he struggled, but it wasn't his fault. He played better than what people say. And then you play 1 quarter against Seattle. And in both possessions against Seattle, guess what? You're inside the 20-yard line. Hell, that could have been going up 10-0 against Seattle. So this revisionist history that Trey Lance struggled and looked terrible.
We didn't see enough. I would just summarize it by saying we didn't see enough. That being said, I would just say if we're going small sample size for both guys, Brock and Trey Lance, Brock's looked a little better.
He's looked a lot better
in his smaller sample size. And you know what? It doesn't matter. As long as they continue to win games, why does it? Okay, they traded heaven and earth. So what? They did the same thing at the linebacker position. They paid Malcolm Smith. They paid Quan Alexander. They invested a ton of money and draft pick into Reuben Foster. Does anyone care this morning that they nailed Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner?
Yep. We care that they nailed those guys. We don't care about Reuben Foster. We don't care. We also don't even care about the missed pick with Sullivan Thomas anymore. Nobody even brings it up.
At all. We know why? Because we got Nick Bosa, right? You know what I'm saying? Now, will people be frustrated that we wasted the allocation of the value in the trade? Yes, they will.
You know what? I say to that, all those picks, and we saw the graphics.
They missed a lot of picks.
Oh, man, the Dolphins picked up Bradley Chubb and Tyreek Hill.
They also had to spend a lot of money.
But you know what? I just saw the Dolphins come to town last week, and they got their ass beat by the 49ers.
And
so
Chubb
they picked up all the and Chubb did nothing. Trey Lance did nothing. That trade with Miami meant nothing. Miami got their asses kicked by the Niners last week with Brock Purdy. Yeah. So I don't care about the trade. You just lost on the field.
I know.
Hey, we swooped you guys. We swindled you for the trade. You got destroyed.
Now, I don't know what Brock Purdy's going to end up being, Bonte. Like, I don't know. The sample size is really small. It could flame out. But you know what? I'll say this for the draft selection. It's already been a boom. You won 2 big-time games down the stretch with the 7th-round draft pick, Mr. Irrelevant. Now, it could flame out,
but also,
I'll take it.
Also,
they nailed it.
Also,
as of now.
Last year, which your number 3 overall pick, in a do-or-die game.
That's a good point. I didn't
you
even
lose
think
that game against Houston,
I didn't even think about
you're not
that.
going to the NFC Championship game, and Trey had to play that game. And what happened? You know, people are going to say, oh, it's the lowly Texans. Those are the same Texans that everybody made a big deal about week 3 of the preseason when Trey struggled, when you didn't have your starters. Most of your starters in that game. But yet everybody made a big deal about that game. Oh, Trey's not ready. He struggled against the Texans. He just won you a do-or-die game at home where you lose, and all the pressure's on you, saying, damn, man, we got a rookie. We got to survive it. What happened in the second half? He made throw after throw after throw, made right decision after right decision, and they win that football game. So I don't want to hear anything about Trey looked terrible. He struggled, yes, at times, but he didn't look as bad as what people are making it out to be.
Well, it's so irrelevant. It's so irrelevant now.
It was the right decision to start him this season.
Okay. Which I'm with you. And I think he would have looked a lot better with McCaffrey. That's another thing. Like, I think McCaffrey, it changed this offense fundamentally. Would you agree?
Not only that, Shasky.
It makes all the quarterback play better.
How many games did Trey Lance play with George Kittle?
Only 1.
The Texans game, right?
Yep. He didn't play against the Bears, and he didn't play in the Arizona game.
Interesting.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think of that. That's a good point.
Before we get to Baldy here, let's go to Jose in Oakland. Jose, what's happening? You're in the morning roast here on 95.7 The Game.
Hey, guys. Good morning.
Good morning.
From my point of view, Kyle has really botched the QB position from day one. He had a chance to draft, his choice of either Allen or the QB in Kansas City. If you see the progress that the QBs have made this year, including Jimmy G, I would probably have to give credit to Brian Greasy because I did see the progress once Brian Greasy took over the quarterback coach's position. And I think that's part of the reason why also Brock has gotten better because the last time that I saw Brock playing, he wasn't playing the way he's playing right now. And I think Brock Purdy has actually benefited also from having Jimmy G as his mentor because Jimmy G learned from the best, from Tom Brady. So it's a succession of things that have happened to get to this point where Brock Purdy is actually having some success. But as far as Kyle, he's a really, really good. He's one of the best play callers. But as far as developing QBs, he's been really, really
hard. Like, I'm not trying to cape up for him. It's hard. Kyler Murray, 2 years ago, you'd have told me, like, anyone in the league would trade for him.
Right.
All right?
Now,
that's
you don't
what I'm
know
saying.
about that.
And I can make an argument. Arizona has botched their quarterback situation in terms of getting that coach for Kyler, Cliff Kingsbury, them not getting along, giving him the money when you didn't even trust his study habits.
Right.
And then you put him out with a team that's going to get him whacked every single week. Like, you can make the same argument about Arizona whiffing on their situation.
No doubt.
Everybody would have traded heaven and earth for Arizona's quarterback 2 years ago.
And a lot of people were saying that about Chicago until they said, you know what? Let's play to Justin Fields' strength. He can run the ball.
And he looks good.
And let's go trade for Chase Claypool to add weapons to him because you need weapons
and
in
I
this
still
league.
don't know if Justin Fields is any good.
Right.
Bonte, that's like Dak Prescott is making $40 million.
Right.
I don't even know how good he is.
So you know what? You'd rather.
I think he's good, but I don't know if he's great. But I don't know. But I'd rather have him than some backup.
No doubt. Trey Lance and Brock Purdy making a combined. They're going to make a combined $10 million next season, a combined $11 million in 2024. This is a great deal for
I know. I told you.
Situation.
It's going to be great.
Moving forward.